Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming you all to today's International Affairs being broadcasted from the SATV's Gulshan studio. Of course, I was not here yesterday and this is why I cannot recap some of these stories. However, before I begin today's high voltage show, let me introduce all my panelists. Here in the studio, I have Major Dr. Khosrow Samad. He is, of course, a military analyst and a columnist. Dr. Khosrow Samad, I welcome you on to the program. There is going to be interesting topics which I'm going to try to get a remark from you today. Alongside, we have our Pakistan correspondent, Mohammad Musab Shabbir in the studio. I welcome you on to the program as well. It's good to see you here after a long while. On Zoom, I will have Norman Floyd Barnes joining us from Washington, District of Columbia. I want to give the ground of what we are going to discuss today. Of course, we've seen some renewed hostilities even after the Lake Lucerne summit and, of course, signing of the Islamabad MOU between the US and Iran. Some of these hostilities have happened over the last weekend starting into this week. And as of today, the both sides have agreed to cease their hostilities and to meet one another, or each other's sides will be meeting one another tomorrow in the country of Qatar. Of course, this renewed fighting stemmed from the misinterpretations of the Memorandum of Understanding. I want to begin with Norman Floyd Barnes on Zoom. Sir, a very good morning to you. We understand that the US side and Donald Trump's aides are now going to understand what are the latest findings regarding Iran and the US. A very good morning to you. Would you please shine some light on some of the issues that are stemming from Washington as well? A very good morning, Norman.
Good morning, gentlemen, from Washington. The United States is, like I say, scheduled to meet with the Iranian officials to discuss terms of the future. They have, over the weekend, you understand that there was attacks on both ends. The United States responds to attacks from Iran. Iran responded by attacking Bahrain, 8 sites in Bahrain and Kuwait over the weekend. So this back and forth of military, showing a military will continues, and hopefully tomorrow they are able to basically stabilize the situation so they can continue the terms of the MOU. Apparently, there's an interpretation, again, they use the word, there's an interpretation problem, understanding exactly what the terms actually mean for them, each side. Hopefully they get clarification on that tomorrow, and we can proceed with the process over the next 60 days to somehow limit and end this situation in the Middle East. At the same time, Iran is insistent on stating that they will have to control the strait, the port, the strait, and the process there. And the United States is stating that they need to be involved in this. They need to also be in charge. So the issue is basically, how do we overcome each other's ego? It's an ego issue right now, who's control what, but the world is basically waiting once again on exactly how, here we go Monday, how the market's going to turn in terms of the news and the conversation from our president here, Donald Trump, and the counterparts in Iran on exactly what is going to happen. So the rest right again, Monday morning, we're waiting again. The world is waiting to see exactly what Iran and the United States is going to do regarding peace in the world and business, commerce, and the whole economic situation.
Right. An excellent opening by Norman Floyd Barnes regarding for how we understand the coming situation. As we know that US officials have said, even after the exchange of fire with Iran, that will stand down for now. The US shall stand down for now is the comments that was made by various Trump administration officials yesterday on Sunday. I want to turn to Dr. Khosrow Samad in the studio. I know for a fact that this has been a very long running topic with very live updates that has been happening. And needless to say, the Lake Lucerne meeting was very important to conclude some of these hostilities, these confrontations. It has had massive impacts over here in Asia in terms of economy and trade. And when you look at the military firepower, it is of course United States that has have huge assets in the Middle East. And in the terms of the IRGCs of Iran, the Revolutionary Guard continues to target various US assets in the region. One of the Iranian aspects was to limit the US power projection in this region in the Middle East. I want to get your comment. Tomorrow they are set to meet in Qatar. What shall they discuss? Right now, every Monday is when the economy opens in the US, and this war seems to be controlling some of these issues regarding the crude oil as well. Your remarks shall be helpful, sir.
Thank you very much. Basically, this is not merely a fight between Iran and America. This becomes the desire of the peace-loving people of all of the world. We can go back to the genesis of the cause. In this table, we talked a lot. The very first day, America attacked, and the Ayatollah and the main chief leaders was killed. It was thought by the United States parts they might be won over. But subsequently, we see that scenario become changed. And the main thing, the Iranian part is the mosaic type of the leadership, not the monopoly like the others.
Right.
So one goes, second leader was ready. Second leader goes, third leader is ready. It was effective in all the corners of the military part, both the civil part, dignitaries part. So it was not the hard job for the USA to get the job done on their favor. And we have seen subsequently the Pakistan, specifically the Field Marshal Asif Munir, that was the ice melting. That was the ice melting, and it was given the tremendous positive effort, and it was possible to bring the two hostile part came to the table. And it was gradually, it given a momentum, and it goes the magnitude. Ultimately, it was possible to come to a shape. But it's a long-term misunderstanding, misbelief, mistrust, and there are some persons inside this total scenario, though they really do not want that the peace should be applicable. Let me be very transparent. On my personal part, as a military analyst, I think still we have the full doubt about the integrity of the Israel. Netanyahu personally, he does not want that the peace should be applicable, because in that part, if so, it was a real straight-cut failure, and failure on their part. Naturally, the elements of the total systems, there are the Chinese part, there are the Russian part, there are the European part, and the Arabs part. So it is a comprehensive matters. And we are yet to know who are the elements, who are the personnels who are going to the Qatar, we are to know their integrity, professional efficacy to get the job done. But let us hopeful because still hope is there, and the peace-loving people having the eyes on the tomorrow's matter, that it should be, hopefully it should be give a conclusion. At least 48 hours, again it was ceased unofficially. On my part, I am optimistic. Let's see.
Right, and the benefits of being optimistic is often looked down upon, because we want the positives to succeed in this regard. And definitely we've seen the nation of Pakistan playing the frontier role in bringing the two sides together as well in Switzerland. Turning to Mohammad Musab, our Pakistan correspondent, thank you for joining us in this very program. I know for a fact that when Vice President J.D. Vance has landed in Islamabad, you were there to cover his entire meeting and how it went through all over the night. I believe that was the first instance of the talks that happened in order to bring the confrontations to a halt. And in recent times, we've seen the Lake Lucerne summit. It was, of course, visited by your premier, Shehbaz Sharif, as well. I want to get your comment, because many of these nations are going from one nation to another, say from Islamabad to Lake Lucerne in Switzerland, now once again in Qatar. And I've seen how the Prime Minister of Qatar has been opening up towards Pakistan in this new mediating role. Some of your comments on how you are feeling your opinions regarding this US-Iran debacle, and of course, what would be of the Strait of Hormuz, because the deal had said, the Islamabad MOU had said that it would allow opening the strait for 60 days. And once again, the IRGC in this recent confrontation is once again questioning the memorandum, questioning the deals, the terms of the memorandum. So I want to get how you are seeing this affair.
So basically, because both Pakistan and Bangladesh understand the language of cricket, I'm sure Norman would learn a few things from us as well. Diplomacy, as they say, is not a game of T20 cricket. It's a test match. Whatever's happening behind closed doors, we can't report much on it, even if we have good sources within the Pakistani apparatus. What is happening is that Pakistan, before inviting J.D. Vance and the Iranian delegation headed by the Speaker Kalibaf to Islamabad, what they did was they formed a core group which included Egypt, which included Saudi Arabia, which included Turkey, and which included Pakistan. So first things first, Pakistan made sure that all foreign ministers of the region, which had a strong voice, gathered in Islamabad, developed a framework, and then from there they wanted to take it forward. As you know, Oman was at one point in time very close to the United States, and usually whatever was happening in the region was happening via Oman. Even before the start of this war, there were talks going on in Oman which fell out, and the moment they fell out, the war broke out. What has happened is that there was a space that was going to be taken by somebody, and the Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir, they took over that space. So the space was already there, and Pakistan, having good relations with the United States because of whatever has happened in the last year, let's not get into the details of that, enjoyed cordial relations, and therefore they occupied that space. Once they occupied that space, they were able to gain the trust of both the United States and Iran. Now, this is a very dicey situation. On paper, while we're talking, it sounds extremely good, but whatever is happening behind closed doors is completely different. Why? The reasons are simple, and the reasons are only two. One, the enmity is too old. So 47 years of enmity is almost, it's much older than what I am at this point in time. So with that amount of mistrust, it's impossible to bring a calculated resolution within a couple of days. It's going to take time. What is happening now is there's quite a few change of venues. The United States believe the Iranians are tough negotiators, which they obviously are. Both sides want to claim a political victory. Both sides want to declare a military victory, because that is what both sides are looking for. Iran has lost their supreme leader. The United States, if it loses this war militarily, loses its worth on not just on the stock markets all over the world, but its military might. So yes, having said that, there's a lot that is happening behind the scenes. Even tomorrow, the talks that are going to take place in Qatar were initially planned to take place in Switzerland. But there's a change of venue because whatever has happened. Coming to the last bit of your question, you asked that Hormuz remained a major obstacle, and that is why war broke out again. There's a paragraph in the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, and that paragraph is probably being read differently by both sides. So it says that the Strait of Hormuz has to be kept open for the next 60 days. According to what I understand, the commentary that is being done by everybody, people like analysts, senior analysts like him, like Norman, and students of journalism like me, anchors like you, we're all reading the same paragraph, and we're trying to understand where the difference is. The Iranians believe that they own that leverage, which is called the Strait of Hormuz. The Middle Eastern countries and the United States believe that it means a free passage. That is where the conflict is. So a small fleet of ships that went through the Strait of Oman basically triggered this war. IRGC thought that they're misreading the MOU, and that's why they attacked these ships, and that's why the United States responded. I'll come to what he said in the latter part of the show.
Excellent remarks as well from both gentlemen here in the studio. I just want to have a very last question to Norman. which is also regarding some of these issues in the Middle East. We know a part of the memorandum was also stating that as the memorandum will be signed, Israel would be directed to stop its hostilities towards Lebanon. Unfortunately so, that has not been the case. According to yesterday's news, the Israeli military has destroyed underground infrastructure used by Lebanese militant groups Hezbollah in a village in southern Lebanon. It is safe to assume that these kinds of infiltration and confrontations are still happening as a growing number of young Republicans in the US are turning against Israel, raising questions about whether the party's long-standing support for that country can be taken for granted, according to Axios news website. I want to ask Norman, how are you feeling, especially regarding this? Israel is the sole issue that can either make or break this memorandum, as we've seen it coming to play as of the recent times. Norman, just your very short comment.
Yes, my basic commentary is basically you have right now the MOU is involving Iran and the United States. The state of Israel has been not included. They have been omitted. They have not been asked for their input or their participation. So, with that said, the Israeli government believes that they're not obligated to follow any conditions which they cannot participate in the process. So they will continue to do what they are doing in terms of the military action and in terms of their quest to eliminate Hezbollah in the region, while while the United States and Iran talk about peace, they are talking about completing their mission. So the mindset is that, hey, you can talk about one of these bullet points about what Israel can do, but Israel believes, since you have omitted us from the process, we do not respect or feel like we have to comply with any terms that we are not participating in and in the situation going on. Israel believed that they should be at the table talking about the peace, talking about the process, and it was elected through the United States, and they called a slap in the face that they are now negotiating with Iran from afar, while Israel is on the ground in that region dealing with Hezbollah. And Hezbollah is supported by Iran, so they believe they're one and the same. So it appears that Israel feel a little slighted, a little, well, not a little, but they feel like they've been not important enough to be involved in the terms. So they feel that it's not important for them to comply with the terms. So that's where we at.
Right. Excellent takeaway and remark regarding Israel and this geopolitical situation. Similarly, Iran does see importance in Lebanon, and that is why Iranian counterparts have said that attacks on Lebanon must end. With that being said, it's been a very great discussions with both gentlemen here in the studio as well as Norman. It is time to go for a short commercial break. Afterwards, we shall look at other pressing issues from around the world and come to discussions. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay tuned on this very program. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China, to come to agreement.
They will face better projects.
with President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming you all back on International Affairs. We were in discussion regarding the US and Iran situation and how we see the Middle Eastern affairs coming to play, with almost everyone in attendance, including Oman, including Pakistan, and as well as Iran and the US. We also need to give an importance to Israel, as Norman Floyd Barnes was stating that Israel is losing out on its geopolitical clout as of the recent days. Moving on to more pressing issues from around the globe, we've seen a twinlet earthquake creating devastation across the waters of Venezuela, in northern Caracas as well. It has shaken parts of Colombia as well, just to give an idea of the gravity of the situation. Turning to Norman Floyd Barnes, I know that we've been talking about this very issue over the last weekend or so regarding the actual number of deaths that has taken place. The rubble seems to be not being cleared on time, and of course anger is mounting as rescue is lagging. Common Venezuelans that have survived this tragic event are now seeing looting various stores for their daily-to-daily needs. I wanted to ask you how you're seeing and what is the importance of information and how fast it should be circulated when it comes to life-saving measures, which is very well required at this moment in Venezuela. Norman, how are you assessing this situation as of today?
Thank you for the question. But here, Bangladesh, you should take notice what is happening in Venezuela. You too have vulnerabilities in terms of dealing with nature, shorelines, earthquakes, and whatever. The situation in Venezuela is something that should never have been a surprise. It appears to the world, it appears to everybody that this is a surprise that came about, and the government and the rest of the world is ill prepared to deal with this. The death tolls are mounting. The situation is unstable. The communication is basically down. All of these things, as a former emergency manager dealing with this stuff, these things are already pre-positioned and should be pre-positioned and pre-prepared for. Resources should have been staged. Information about the potential of the seismic response and earthquake should have been announced prior to that. Early warning systems should have been in place. People should have been positioned and moved to minimize the loss of life. Consequently, none of that happened. It came upon, again, like a midnight surprise. Again, just like the U.S. went in that nighttime and attacked and took out their president. The earthquake came in and did the same thing. So now we're in a situation where everybody's trying to do something, but right now we have thousands of people buried under, still alive, buried under rubble. The window is closing. There's a 72-hour window when the loss of life is going to increase. This is going to go from a rescue situation to a recovery situation. And then you have the other part of this, we getting into the seasonal changes, the weather changes, and the heat. You're going to have issues of death and disease, which will be more catastrophic than the actual impact of the earthquake. So unless these things, we're going to have a world disaster go on, come about because of the response. Once again, you're seeing that countries are not prepared for dealing with these earth related issues, and the rest of the world has no response plan. They are sending people in, but there's no coordination. So we got 1,000 heads running around with nobody in charge, no plan, no coordination of resources, and the people are frustrated because they are now looking for their loved ones, information about their loved ones, and there's no one to talk to. So it's a state of chaos. It's basically we have confusion. Now it's going to be a disaster, which is going to be a catastrophe, and the world is going to suffer again on dealing with the response to this situation. And this is not going to be the only one. This is not going to, we have a long hot summer ahead of us, and there'll be more situations that happen on this planet. And once again, I'm amazed and astonished that the mankind has not come together and think about how do we mitigate this situation? How do we use these knowledge that we have, the technology that we are developing, and basically how do we manage this to the point instead of looking for profits and looking at the Strait, looking at Israel, looking at the looking at everything else except for you have to protect and you have to manage how we're going to do that because it's going to affect everybody. Just because it's happening in Venezuela, it's going to affect people in the UK, people in Australia, people in the United States. This is going to have an effect because you think it's over there, but the next quake could be in your neighborhood or your living room.
Right. Very interesting comment and commentary from Norman Floyd Barnes regarding the Venezuela situation. As the day progresses, ever since this event has occurred, the death toll and the number of people missing is one to be noticed at. Currently, the death toll is creeping towards 1,500 confirmed who have passed away in this tragic event, with about 50,000 people registered missing on a crowdsourcing website. These are some of the details that I gather from online sources. I want to ask Major Dr. Khosrow Samad, you are a doctor, and in this kind of situation, the various elements will be of very much scarcity, especially clean drinking water, medicine, as well as conditions for livelihoods to remain disease-free. I want to ask you, an entire coastal region of Venezuela has been decimated, with even some buildings even standing now, but residents feeling the fear of another earthquake might be coming very shortly. Of course, in some of these remarks that are coming, let me read out one. Everyone in La Guaira is searching and digging out people with their bare hands. And the government, what have they done? Nothing. These are some of the comments made by residents in Venezuela. I want to ask you first, how are you assessing this situation? And do you believe that the world should not stay silent given that people are still under the rubble?
Thank you very much. We have come to know there are the two twin earthquakes. The magnitude was 7.1 and 7.5. This is a really high magnitudes. This is not the merely nature's desire like the Philippines or the Japan, as we talked. It is partly man-made as well. The ill planning, then the nuclear garbage, then the cutting of the tree, then global house effect, greenhouse effect, and many more. And I must say, that Venezuela is unfortunate as well, because in this crisis they don't have the elected president, and as we know, they are in the custody of the USA, in the jail. So naturally, if the elected person is the chair, the grip and the infrastructure, geopolitics, current affair, military matters, the way of the rescue team, the way of the surveillance, and many more is in the head of the state. It is very hard job to get in the second part, especially who is not the, well informed. Number two, the role of the US is not the clear. If they are the custodian of the of Venezuela, they should play the role very specifically, clearly. But we are yet to see the events and the efforts and the endeavors created by the USA that is suffice or to give the supports of Venezuela. Now, the role of the United Nations, it is also in a question. At least United Nations should talk clearly their role and they diverse the actions. Medical part should be done, say hypothetically for the Bangladesh, then the sanitary part should be done by the Pakistan, then infrastructure should be done by the India, and blah, blah, blah. But we are yet to say any integrated proposal which reflects the proportion, the charter of the duty should be in a master plan.
Right.
We are yet to get a master plan. So it's a technical way. We have the good motive. The Venezuela people, those who are not affected, they're the good motive. But to rescue the people from the underground, it is not an easy job. It's a technical matter. It requires military training as well. But so far my knowledge goes, I read thoroughly, they did not teach how to rescue from the earthquake and other natural calamities. So good wishes is not enough. It's a technology matter. I repeat. Number two, as you said, we are yet to see the movement of all the peace-loving people of the world, rather. And I repeat, United Nations. Now, there are the immediate effect, mid-term effect, long-term effect. Already, we have seen the couple of the hours has already gone, and a person who is isolated from the community, he is not taking any food or drinking water, it is hard, and the stress and the panic as he came across the trauma in his mind due to the devastation. He might lose his parents, he might lose his wife, he might lose his son, he might lose his family members, he might lose his co-workers and others. So still is a trauma. So due to the overcome the trauma, it is very hard job. So he might die due to the trauma, he might die due to the scarcity of the food, he might die to the scarcity of the water. This is the immediate effect. And there are the, as you said, the after effect. The after effect is another threat. And it is a very hard part on ours, because like the COVID, we are the doctors. Did we go to the patient? We know we might die. There are a lot of the people died. They are the rescue party. They know they might die. Don't they go to the rescue phases? The firepower, they also go to the places. So I want to say this is the commitment of the military persons are those who are trained to go to the place and to rescue. But we are yet to see. Number two, the very hardened part that the people are looting. People are dying and people are looting, and the Venezuela people are looting of their own.
Only to survive.
Only on the survivors. This is very painful. So as these are the immediate effect, and they lost already more than 10% of the total GDP. So we can see the after effect. The multi-storied building, the infrastructure, geopolitics, sewerage system, electricity, and many more for the survival of the normal people. It is very hard job to rescue by the couple of the years, I suppose. Then, as you said, we are yet to know there might be nuclear proliferation, there might be atomic proliferation, there might be microorganisms, there might be rare viruses, there might be rare diseases. They might come up in the long run, and they might create a havoc, not only for the threat for the Venezuela, because it does not go by the roadway, it goes by the straight way. So the difference, the geographical difference from Bangladesh and Venezuela is not too far. From the Pakistan and Venezuela, not too far. So if really it happened, or the micro organisms part of the view, or from the disease point of the view, we are also in the threat.
Of course. Excellent remarks by Dr. Khosrow Sabad. Some of the news that you've stated is very accurate. As a common Venezuelan still are showing its frustrations with the disaster management of this kind of scale that we are seeing. In addition to what we see happen in Venezuela, immediately we've seen earthquakes happening in the Philippines as well as Japan. And if you move away from this kind of ecological disaster, if you look at the ozone layer and the heat, this time around, strangely to say, Europe and much of Europe is coming under the effects of the El Nino with 42 and above 40 plus degrees Celsius temperatures, which broke previous records. Britain, France, Switzerland, Germany all have experienced record heat in this very month, and the weather system could test more records as it rolls across Germany towards Poland. Now I want to turn to Mohammad Musab. I know that this is a different type of topic to talk about, But if you look at it in a broader aspect, it is climate change and the drastic effects of climate change, how they are appearing. In one report that I've read earlier on, this June, parts of Europe have been hotter than parts of the holy city in Saudi Arabia. So that is a very new element to talk about, especially when the World Health Organization is saying we are to brace for some severe weather changes. How are you assessing this, as well as the millions that might be affected in this Venezuelan earthquake disaster?
Okay, so yes, everybody, Dr. Saab, Mr. Norman, everybody is talking about facts, figures. I'd like to take it a little differently. 3 earthquakes that I've written down: 7.5 in Venezuela, 6.9 in Japan, 7.8 in Indonesia in a few days between each other. And then El Nino, I had already written it down, but you spoke about it. So what I'm trying to say here is, when we were growing up in Pakistan, if you would remember, we used to have springs and autumns in between summers and winters. Now that's missing. We used to have a 4 or 5 month winter in Pakistan, and now it's only in cities like Lahore, it's only 20-25 days. That is also affected by smog and severe fog. So for generations who are now growing up, and for generations who are now going to come into this world, for people like me and you, it's becoming extremely tough to adapt to newer situations.
Right.
While we talk about El Nino, let's talk about different forms of climate change.
Please.
Let's even stay at El Nino for a bit. So El Nino's effect on the globe is very different. In Africa, it might mean droughts, but in other countries, it might mean wildfires. In certain countries, it might, like Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India, it might mean less monsoon rains. And countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India are dependent upon monsoon rains because we are agriculture-based countries and we depend on our crop cycles. Our economies depend on our crop cycles. So it's very different from all over the world. What I want to point out here is that viewers of SATV and whoever's logged in right now, or whoever's going to watch this show on SATV Digital, I would want everybody, no matter how old they are, even if they're kids, teenagers, middle-aged men and women, people who are older, should start Googling organizations that are working on climate change, because each country, each city is facing different forms of climate change. So Google up which organizations in your area are working on climate change, be it good farming, be it controlling greenhouse emissions, be it controlling industrial wastage, be it controlling carbon credits. Whatever anybody is working on, start supporting them. Try and find out ways that you can figure out for your next generations on a personal level, on a business level, on a community level. So start finding ways in trying to bring, you cannot win this war over a couple of days or over a couple of years. It's a long going war. But for the future of your children, start contributing to organizations who are working on climate change. I'm just going to end this by saying that Pakistan, the whole region is very affected, but because I represent Pakistan on this show and I'm the Pakistan correspondent for SATV, let me tell you that Pakistan is only Pakistan only represents only 1% of the total greenhouse emissions all over the world, but Pakistan has been declared as ground zero for climate change. Our glaciers are melting. We have no more winters. We do not have any more springs or autumns. At the same time, we are having cloud bursts like crazy. We are having
very
earthquakes.
Similar situation here.
Even yesterday, it's the exact same in the whole region. Bangladesh is having the same. You had an earthquake a couple of days ago. We had an earthquake yesterday. I was reading it on your Facebook. So we had an earthquake yesterday. There are droughts, there are extreme heat waves. The humidity in the air is making it difficult for people to breathe freely. So whatever you can do in your personal capacity, be it turning off lights while you're not in the room, buying cars that are electric or hybrid, being not too much reliant on fuel, whatever you can do on a personal level and whatever you can do as a community, please try and put your share in climate change, because you don't know what's going to happen next. You might not even wake up if an earthquake that strong comes in Bangladesh or in Pakistan. I, as a kid, faced the 2005 earthquake in Pakistan. I lost my class fellows in that earthquake. We've had 2 extreme floods in the last 4 years, and we've lost so many people in those floods. And I would like all of you to come to Pakistan as well, come see what's happening over there. And Shams, I must really commend that in a world that where media usually talks about wars, money, stock exchanges, you talk about issues like climate change. So a commendable job, brother.
Thank you so much for your commentary as well. Thanking Major Dr. Khosrow Samad. Before I end and go for a break, I just want to remind my guests as well as our viewers that the highest peak in the entire world is the Mount Everest, and it is located in the Hindu Kush regions, which includes Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and this entire region combined. Whether or not we shall face any kind of seismologic event is definitely going to be stemming from this so-called mountain. So interesting debates, interesting topics from both the gentlemen here as well as Norman. It's time to take a short commercial break. Afterwards, we will also focus on some issues that require attention. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay tuned on this very program. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
With Presidency of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Welcoming our viewers back on the last segment of International Affairs. Unfortunately, I have lost Norman Floyd Barnes' connection on this very program, so I thank him for joining us all the way very early in the morning from Washington District of Columbia. And events that have been taking place in the US, Mexico and Canada. Of course, I'm talking about the 2026 World Cup. As we move on to the round of the 32 nations from the 48 that has been contesting from the beginning, I want to ask both my guests here in the studio. I want to start with Major Dr. Khosrow Samad. FIFA World Cup, this time around, very much controversy, very little that Gianni Infantino is doing. He's, of course, adding on to global warming, the climate change, because of his numerous flights across the United States, Mexico, as well as Canada. So it's needless to say that entertainment goes hand in hand with overusing of these kind of logistical factors. On the other hand, it's a very sad news to see that in the group stage, Iran has been eliminated due to two other nations drawing out, which forced the captain Mehdi Taremi of Iran to come back to its own soil. I want to turn to Major Dr. Khosrow Samad. How are you assessing this situation? Because the World Cup, whenever it comes down, we see here in Bangladesh people roaming around the streets with either the jerseys of two popular teams, Brazil and Argentina. I cannot ignore the fact it has the effect it has on people's livelihoods. What do you want to add on regarding this?
Thank you very much. There are both parts of the coin. Number one, despite of the many negative news, we have already uttered the heavy crisis in Venezuela, mistrust between the Iran and America and their allies also. But despite of that, the football...
Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Panto.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
With President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. I'm talking about Russia. So that is one of the issuance. Consequently, the team was prohibited from participating in the qualification rounds and will not compete in the global tournament. Who holds the cards? Geopolitics with entertainment issues like FIFA. Your comment will be the last. Passing it to you, Musab, before I can end the program.
It's sad to see politics taking its toll on sports. It's obviously very hard for a sports fanatic, somebody like me who follows a lot of football and a lot of cricket. Let me take you back a few weeks ago when Bangladesh was kicked out of the Cricket World Cup just because it did not want to play its games in India.
India, right.
So it's the same in football. It's sad, but this is the reality of the world that we live in today. Politics does play its part in sports, sports which should be unbiased, sports which should be a uniting factor between countries, sports that can play its part in diplomacy all over the world. is now being ruined by world politics, and it's extremely sad. Trying to move on from the question that you've just asked, obviously, on the flip side, we see a lot of people all over the world supporting Iran because they thought that Iran moving on to the next stages would mean Iran staying in global news. So a lot of people who talk about world peace, who think that whatever's being done by wars, the devastation should not happen, they support countries like Iran. But Iran obviously fell out of the World Cup. So it's an interesting World Cup that's going on in the United States. For countries like us, it's obviously tough to watch because of the time difference. At the same time, there are prayers, there are wishes that Pakistan and Bangladesh somehow, someday, play the Football World Cup because it's the biggest sporting event all over the world. But because of lack of infrastructure, I'm sure there's extreme talent in Bangladesh as well. In Pakistan, Pakistan happens to be the street World Cup champion for a number of years now. In a small town within Karachi, Leari, we produce some of the best footballers in the world. But because we do not have infrastructure, we do not have enough funds to create good stadiums, to bring in international coaches, to make sure that the whole ecosystem around football is developed. Although we produce world-class cricketers, most Bengali cricketers are loved in Pakistan. On the flight that I was coming from Pakistan to Bangladesh, everybody from Pakistan was telling Bangladeshis of their favorite players, and it was funny and at the same time very heartwarming to hear Pakistanis telling Bangladeshis on a flight which players they support in Bangladesh. One day hopefully we'll be playing the FIFA World Cup, but till then on the streets of Dhaka it's either blue for Argentina or yellow for Brazil.
Of course, excellent remarks by both my gentlemen here in the studio. Let me thank Dr. Khosrow Sabat for your attendance, your contribution and patience in regards to this geopolitical situation. Also thanking Mohammad Musab for your attendance here in this very studio, providing an insight and a point of perspectives from Pakistan and as well as a global situation. Also thanking Norman Floyd Barnes, who is situated in Washington, District of Columbia. Let me also finish today's international affairs by stating an important event that is linked to 29th of June of this very year. It is, of course, International Tropical Day. This day is celebrated worldwide to highlight the importance of the environment, biodiversity and human livelihoods in the tropical regions of the world. About 40% of the world's people live in this region, and this region is also the habitat of most of the world's plants and animals. With that being said, I take signing off on International Affairs. I will be with you all on tomorrow's program. Until then, I shall see you all. Goodbye.